The main character did not understand at all where she was. She heard a lot of gossip from the ladies. They talked about the relationship between father and son while remembering His Majesty and the prince. When the main character heard the name of the Huppert Empire, she realized that she was absolutely sure that she had heard it before. Yes, we continued to talk about the prince, and at the same time remembered Queen Elizabeth. The main character realized that this must be the world from the novel she read. The truck that hit the girl seemed to be a rebirth truck. The girl decided to say goodbye to her dull past life. It seems that the cat that the girl saved before her death brought her good luck. Regardless of what character the girl has reincarnated, since she already knows what is happening in the novel, and the main character is sure that this life will be more successful than her past, she became very interested in who she would become. A wealthy family would make her life easier, and being a self-sufficient village girl would be great too. This can make a story touching. Since the girl's past life was difficult, she will make this life luxurious in the novel. And then the main character felt that she suddenly found herself in the air. When she tried to say something, she could only meow. At first, the girl couldn't believe it, because she believed that she was supposed to become the main character or villain, or a friend of the main character in the story, but she was not reincarnated as a person, and a kitten is the size of your palm. Her arms are covered in soft white fur. It would be more appropriate to call them front paws. In the modern world, most people adore cats, but in the world inside the novel that she read, the situation is completely different. Souls swallowed up in darkness. This book with a tragic plot was strongly recommended to her by a friend. The novel details the main character's obsession and madness towards the main character, which gives readers both pleasure and torment. In the end, the girl began to root for the main characters and dreamed that they would start dating. Huppert is the greatest empire of the continent of Dementor. Its ruler is Emperor Kilian Gunther Reinhard, the main character of the novel. After the founding of the empire, a prophecy was received that said that cursed cats would lead to the destruction of the empire. Frightened residents searched the entire empire and got rid of the cats. Even after several centuries, not a single cat was seen in the empire. The prophecy did not come true, but the empire flourished. Considering that this is the beginning of the story, the main character does not understand at all why she became a cat. She's finished. In the Huppert Empire, children were taught from childhood that cats were monstrous animals and should be disposed of on the spot. This is what the girl read. She didn't understand at all whether this man would kill her. Servants came up from behind and asked His Majesty what had happened there. The ruler said that it was nothing. He suggested hunting another day because he wasn't feeling well. Now remembering the description from the novel, she becomes even more confident that this is the main character. In the Huppert Empire, only members of the royal family have red eyes, and among them, the one who was able to inherit Queen Elizabeth's black hair was only one person. This handsome man who grabbed her is the crown prince and will soon become the ruler of the Huppert Empire. His name is Kilian Gunther Reinhard. She encountered a character who is described as the most ferocious tyrant who ever lived. Since he knows about the prophecy associated with the death of the empire, he will definitely kill her. But the main character did not take part in the outrages that cats were accused of committing. She's just a poor girl who died saving a cat. She really wanted to tell His Highness that she was a human, although she looked like a cat, but inside was the soul of a human. The man became interested in what she was trying to say. This animal is a cat. He may have only seen the cats in pictures because they were destroyed. The girl wanted to make a deal with him because she knows the future. She really wanted to say that the empire would fall. Suddenly, the man put the main character into his inner pocket. She had absolutely no idea what he was doing. Perhaps instead of the garden where everything is in plain sight, he wants to kill the cat somewhere else. The man noticed that the cat looked a little different, not like in the books. The teeth have not yet grown below the chin, and the claws do not look threatening at all. Perhaps this is because it is still a kitten. The girl didn't understand at all who he took cats for, but he was right about one thing. By hiding their anger, cats can charm people. The man didn't understand at all why so many people thought they were cute. Kilian told the cat to follow his strange orders. She gave her paw turned around, high-fived. After which, he asked to bite his finger. The main character believed that he was going to use this as a reason to kill her. So she walked over and kissed his finger. It seemed so strange to him, because the cat seemed to understand what he was talking about, and the cat is the only animal that does this. Kilian became interested in what he could feed the cat. He called it a thing. This outraged the girl because he takes her for a thing, although it seems to the cat that he is not going to kill since he wants to feed. She's lucky to be alive because she is the cat who destroyed the empire. The prince appears to be about 18 or 19 years old soon after he becomes an adult. Killian will take the throne, and the novel takes place while he is already ruling. This means that the main character is in a prequel novel. Killian gave her a bowl and told her to eat. Cats may get a stomachache from drinking milk made for humans, but the girl decided that she should try anyway. It was so warm and delicious. Killian pointed out that cats are supposed to be smart and cruel creatures, but this one is pretty pathetic, and so fragile that he could accidentally break it. The main character considered this a mockery. Killian wondered how something like that could kill people. This was exactly what the main character was trying to say. Suddenly, someone knocked, and the man immediately threw the cat off the table. The girl understood that he had to put it in his shirt pocket before someone entered, but she believes that there was no need to push it so hard. This crown prince is so stupid. The woman asked if she interrupted his dinner. She came because she was told that Killian liked the dish she prepared yesterday. She came to thank him personally for this compliment. She was terribly worried because he had lost his appetite, and she is glad that he eats the food she prepared. When the cat heard that she was cooking for him, it reminded her of something. The woman insisted that he enjoy the food again today and appreciate the effort she put into preparing it. The main character remembered a woman with a soft and gentle voice insisting on cooking for Killian. The only one who will do anything to satisfy her lust for power. This is the evil countess, named Katrin Harmon Gisela. She seduced the Emperor Killian's father and became empress, a girl of 20 years old who received the Gisela estate from the emperor. The main character had a hard time dealing with her because she is smart and powerful. Today's dish is lamb seasoned with salt and pepper, served with a wine sauce from the Bordeaux region. The beginning of her grand plan was to use a potion made with black magic, which she also used against the emperor. And now she added it to Killian's food. That's why she asked him to try it anyway. And as soon as the prince is poisoned by this potion, she will make him a puppet that she can control while he rules. Catherine always feels unwell when he eats alone, so she wants to make sure he eats really well before she leaves. The prince asked if she was saying that after he eats this, she will stop talking all this. Catherine said that His Majesty ordered to make sure that he ate, so she was simply following the order. The main character decided that she could not allow Killian to eat what Catherine cooked. In desperation, the main character began to scratch the prince. The Empress did not quite understand what was happening. The main character believed that the man could not stop her. She wouldn't want to have to resort to that. She tried to tell him not to eat it because the food would ruin him and his mind would be clouded. He ordered the Countess to stop because his father was not the person who would take care of his food. Besides, Killian is not hungry. Killian must really be feeling bad. Things were bad, after which Catherine said that she would already go and wished him a good evening. The man took out the cat and the main character looked at the floor. The man asked if she could see these scratches. The girl did not understand at all what to do. Being a cat? She finds this strange to him, and now that she scratched his hand in the middle of dinner, she is sure that he will not spare her. She tried to tell him that she didn't mean to hurt, but only wanted to help. After which she came to terms with the fact that he still didn't understand her. Perhaps the main character should have let him eat the food and just think about running away. But her conscience did not allow her to do this, because you cannot remain indifferent and watch someone become dependent on this terrible drug. In the original story, the prince is already addicted to the potion, but at this point in time, this can be prevented. To do this, he must refuse Catherine's food in the future. He believed that the cat scratched him because he put it in his pocket. He said that the cat could stay outside and asked not to scratch him anymore. He looked at her as if he was going to eat her, but seemed to decide to spare her. He said that in this case, he would continue to have dinner. The main character began to think about how to stop him so that he would not eat poisoned food. The cat noticed that there was an incomprehensible smell coming from that dish. She needs to stop Killian immediately. It's time for the second secret weapon. The cat decided that it would hang on his arm. She started screaming at him, and Killian did not understand at all what was happening to her. She jumped off his hand and stood near the dish. The cat began to hiss and scratch the table. Killian had no idea what she was doing. She urgently needs human speech because Killian is completely uncomprehending and concerned. The main character decided that she had had enough, and she will show him the power of universal language, that is body language. She showed as if she was eating and then began to fall as if she was dying. Killian finally understood that she was saying that he shouldn't eat this food. This is exactly what the cat wanted to tell him. Feels like he's going crazy. The prince asked if the cat could show him that he didn't need to eat yet. After the cat showed him almost every dish, Killian realized that this was something he should avoid. But I didn't quite understand why. The man didn't even know how the cat knew this. However, judging by her gestures, if he eats this, he will feel sick and he will faint as if poisoned. He began to believe it was because she was a cat. Perhaps this is an ability that cats have. But that was not the case. After all this is because inside the cat there is the main character, a person. It's not even clear what if she is not a person stuck in a cat's body, but in fact is just a cat. The main character didn't even know how to live then, but still she should not lose hope. The cat decided that she would stay close to the crown prince, who it seems was not yet eager to kill her. She is the first cat to scratch his hand. This was the cat's imagined future. She will figure out a way to become human again. The charm of a fluffy white kitten is invincible, so the girl uses him to win the prince's affections. Killian noticed that this thing was funny. The cat was very happy because the prince finally smiled. Suddenly, someone knocked again. The prince was informed that His Imperial Majesty had given the order, and he wanted to see his son in the second library as soon as possible. The main character noticed that this room was really gloomy. It doesn't look like it's been lived in. I agree with what I read in the novel. The prince spent most of his time at the academy, and only occasionally remained in the palace. He told the cat to stay here. She could look around if she got bored, but only in this room. You can't go anywhere. Killian hurried to meet the emperor and left her here. The main character didn't really like it, and she sat under the blanket. Killian went to wash himself. His whole body was covered in abrasions and wounds, after which he returned to the room. The cat was happy when she saw him. The man noted that it was very good that she was still here. Then he added that she behaved quietly and praised her. He was getting ready to go to bed, and told her to go to bed too. He asked to make sure she stayed in bed. When she lay down next to him, she smelled a strange smell from the prince. It looked like blood. In the original story, the emperor punished Killian severely. Maybe this is the reason why he saw him today. The girl always wondered why the main characters in romance novels were always so courageous, probably to make them cooler. She also believed that Killian's backstory was a cliché. But now that the cat has witnessed it, it's difficult to understand. Now she understands that this is not just a story, but a reality happening right before her eyes. The smell of blood and cool air are so real. But the cat was not sure that she could do anything at all in her situation. The main character did not understand at all what she could do for Killian. The man had another nightmare, and suddenly a girl appeared opposite him. The man immediately jumped up because he realized that the cat was missing, which should have been in the place where this woman was now lying. For the first time, he encountered a real cat, which he had only seen in drawings. Killing her on the spot would have been the right decision, but for some reason, Killian couldn't bring himself to do it. Firstly, he has absolutely no idea where the cat came from when they were all supposed to be destroyed. How at that time the cat ended up right in the garden of the palace. Secondly, despite the fact that it is an animal, the cat acts as if it understands human language. She looks so small and fragile as if she can barely defend herself. However, she defended him, and then she waited for him to return and kept him company until he fell asleep. Therefore, it is a cat. No matter how dangerous a creature she is, even if she needs to be torn into pieces, he found her, and therefore she is only his. If this woman dared to raise her hand to what belongs to him, whatever she was, Killian would not forgive her. He ordered her to get up immediately, but the woman did not react, so he grabbed her and quickly ordered her to open her eyes. When the woman opened her eyes, the whole room was filled with light, and she immediately turned into a cat. Killian had absolutely no idea what it was, and the main character did not understand at all for what purpose he woke her up in the middle of the night. Plus, he looks extremely annoyed. The cat believed that she had kicked him while he was sleeping or had touched his wounds. Otherwise, it is completely unclear what worries him so much. After which the man asked in surprise who she was. Even if he asks about it like a cat, she cannot answer him. The prince was sure that something had just happened to her, and the cat didn't understand why he didn't finish the sentence. The man asked her if she was definitely a cat. A real cat. The main character believed that he simply did not trust her. She really wanted to say that she really was a cat, after which she wondered if this was the first time he had seen her. In fact, she thinks that this is really the first time this has happened to him, so she wants to apologize for it. Maybe he is under the influence of the poison that has accumulated in his body over a long time, or he talks in his sleep due to stress. She remembers reading about the antidote in a novel. The Countess, the Emperor's wife, was the only one who knew about him. I am the woman who took this information with me to the grave. Therefore, the cat has no idea how to get the antidote. Killian said that if she revealed her identity now, he would spare her from severe punishment. The girl tried to show him that she was a real cat. She's also cute, so he should forget about it. But Killian didn't quite understand what she was doing. The main character did not understand at all what this cold answer was. Cat cuteness doesn't work. Perhaps this is a side effect of the poison from that potion. The main character began to lick the master's hand, thereby trying to bring him to his senses. Killian believed there was no point in interrogating her. The cat was glad that he had given up and would go back to sleep, after which she was very surprised that for some reason the gentleman covered her with a blanket. In any case, the warmth makes her want to sleep, and when she fell asleep, she again turned into a woman. Cats are creatures that will destroy the empire. Therefore, people have mobilized all resources to eradicate them. This is what the prince was taught. However, if you look at the so-called cat in front of him, and despite the fact that this cat is alive, the empire still exists. Actually, it's different from what he heard. Moreover, Killian had never read about cats that turn into people. Perhaps the story was broken in places. Huppert is his empire, and it will be his no matter what. Therefore, the man is not going to stop at nothing to reveal all the secret stories of the empire. In the meantime, he needs to do everything to prevent this cat from being discovered or taken away. But now the most important thing is that he needs to buy clothes for this woman. It seemed to the cat that since she became a cat, she needed a lot of sleep. She began to look for the master, and suddenly discovered that her paw was tied with tape. The man said he couldn't let her leave. He tells her not to even think about it because it's better to eat some warm milk. He still smells like blood. The cat began to beg on his hand and bite him. Killian had no idea what she was doing. Throughout the empire, Killian is known as the best warrior and swordsman, but these marks are of insane aggression, and for some reason, he didn't fight back. The emperor, revered for his strength in the original story, suffered much abuse in his youth. Even as the protagonist of a tragic novel, he endures this attitude. In principle, I didn't understand at all why the cat meows and screams so loudly. Killian believed that she was so upset because he was hurt. He noticed that the cat behaved just like a human, but it looks like she thinks she's a cat. She is deceiving him or really knows nothing about herself. The man asked her to go for a walk because he needed to buy something. The cat became interested in what he wanted to buy. Now that she is outside the castle, she feels more clearly that this is the world inside the novel. Killian told the cat not to lean its paws against the glass and to remove them. They have finally arrived. It was the most popular clothing store in the city. For the staff, the prince's visit was such an honor. The cat didn't understand at all why he took her with him to the clothing store if he wanted to buy things. When Killian noticed something strange, he asked what it was. The woman replied that these were masks for a masquerade ball in the palace. They are still in the process of production, but as soon as they are finished, they will immediately be put on display. The cat believed that he was simply preparing for the ball. If she is not mistaken, then he will meet the main female character there. The prince said that he wished to inspect everything alone, so the staff must leave. After which he released the cat. There was such a luxurious clothing store here, and everything looked so expensive. Killian told her to take a look and tell her if she liked anything. The cat didn't quite understand what he meant. The prince did not know what girls liked. The cat was simply horrified because she did not understand at all what the prince was going to do with women's clothes. After which, Killian noted that it was a gift the cat didn't even know for whom, because now there is only one woman in the prince's life. She hoped he wasn't going to take it for Countess Catherine. After all, she poisons his food. The cat didn't want to think that he really wanted to give these beautiful outfits to his stepmother. Even if the countess is truly a dazzling beauty, anyone would fall in love with her at first sight. And the age difference between them is only 3 years. But she thinks they should be enemies. She replaced his mother. They obviously are not on the best terms. The main character did not want to think that this was such a thank you to her for cooking for him. Perhaps he became attached to her. He has no idea what evil motives motivated her when she prepared food for him. Killian asked if this was enough, and the cat tried to tell him to stop it. The prince didn't quite understand why they wouldn't buy them because they really needed clothes. Killian decided that she was jealous of him and thought that all these things were changing for her. The man believed that she really did not know that she turned into a person when she fell asleep. In that case, it would be interesting to keep such a secret to yourself. The prince ordered to leave. The cat didn't quite understand that this had just happened. Killian looks like he's hiding something. The girl didn't know what he was thinking about. Therefore, she must not let her guard down. The man asked if she wanted something tasty. The cat was very hungry and immediately started eating. The cat noticed a strange look on herself and began to think that she had eaten too much, and perhaps the master wanted it too. But Killian said that he does not like sweets, so she can eat herself. Then he stroked the cat. But the main character remembered that she could not let her guard down, because at this rate she would actually turn into a cat. In any case, she is very interested in where they are going, because it doesn't look like they're going back to the castle. Killian said when they get to their destination, they will need to check something. She will never be harmed, so there is nothing to be afraid of. The main character knew that he was planning something. Vigilance mode was turned on. When he began to stroke her, the cat began to think about what the gentleman was thinking about now. She definitely felt uncomfortable. It must be because of the treats and petting. She really wanted to sleep. That is why Killian covered her with a blanket in advance. The man closed the curtains so that no one could see her. Since the time of the previous emperor, magic has been recognized as a sinister force, and its use has been strictly limited. Thus, even the sorcerers themselves were persecuted. To find out the truth about this strange phenomenon around this cat or woman, you need to contact them. They had already arrived, and the servants informed His Highness that the head of Winston was here and wanted to greet him. Judging by the fact that the cat is in the pocket again, they have definitely arrived. Winston lands Duke Doyson's estate. The man was tying and introduced himself as Valen Doosan. He greeted the son of the Empire, and I never thought that I would ever see the prince in person. It was an honor for him. The man apologized for the indiscreet question and asked whether His Highness knew that the crown prince was here. It was the son of Balon named Charid. The prince asked if he really wanted to know about this. In truth, the mages were isolated here in the lands of Winston because the royal family considered their powers sinister. And he can't even imagine what the palace looks like. And suddenly, out of nowhere, His Highness the Crown Prince visits them. It's so amazing. Killian seemed outraged. Valen ordered his son to close his mouth. He turned to His Highness and said that his son was still too young and was being disrespectful. Therefore, he asks the master to show leniency. Killian doesn't care. It is only natural that his son would have a grudge against the palace, as it were. The reason he came unannounced was to check something. Killian provided the cat. All the magicians were simply horrified when they saw the cat. You have absolutely no idea why he brought this devilish creature to them. Killian doesn't care that for the creator, magic is considered an ominous force. He wants them to find out information about the curse placed on this cat through their favorite means. Now the main character knew that this boy's name was Harad Doyson. She remembers him. He is a young and brilliant magician who led a rebellion against Killian, who became emperor by the end of the novel, meeting with him before Killian's coronation. This event is different from what the main character remembers in the novel. This means that from now on, the girl can no longer predict the future. The men were horrified and did not understand why he brought this devilish creature here, if the fact is that no one from the palace wants to get blood on their hands, and that's why he brought her here to be dealt with. Then the young magician will gladly take her life. Killian covered the cat and asked who gave him permission to pull out his blade. The prince turned to Valen and noted that he should worry more about the cat than about his son. The younger magician shouted that there were only magicians in this place, and if the prince pointed a sword at him and thinks that there will be no consequences from this, then he is mistaken. His father ordered Harad to watch his tongue when speaking to His Highness, and he asked the prince to show leniency, because his son is still too young to understand the situation. Therefore, he asks the gentleman to lower his sword. Killian said that the cat belongs to him, and whoever raises a hand against it will be punished. This time he will forgive the magician. Valen was interested in what the gentleman meant by kissing that this was his cat. After all, the prophecy says that cats will cause the fall of the empire. Therefore, it is completely incomprehensible how the crown prince can say such things. Killian doesn't like to beat around the bush. He asked what would be faster, their magical runes or his fire covering everything around. The gentleman showed his aura. The cat realized that now he was showing them his hidden strength. Aura is a type of power that only high-level swordsmen can possess. However, in this world, aura is considered a power comparable to magic. Therefore, it is hidden and rarely seen outside the battlefield. Moreover, this place is full of magicians who are opposed to the Imperial family. The fact that Killian used his aura here exposing himself could be a threat to him in the future. But despite this, he could not resist using the aura. It is completely unclear why he did this. Killian once again asked if they would deal with this curse. Valen said that they agreed to this, so they asked him to remove his aura. This is really happening. This situation is very different from the original plot. This is the reality in which a cat must survive. When the magician checked the cat, he felt that same energy. He couldn't believe it. Killian asked the gentleman if he was finished. Valen said that this power is so great that no one can cope with it. This is a divine blessing and God will protect this cat. They are all well aware of the prophecy. Cats are diabolical creatures that deserve to die. But this cat is not cursed, but a divine blessing. It's hard to believe, but this cat and its ancestors were able to survive for many generations because God protected them. He feels a powerful and ancient force that protects her. There is also a chance that her parents exist too. The main character was simply at a loss. The man called Kharid to look at the cat's memories. He began to say that he did not study magic in order to use it on a simple animal. The father repeated to him that he had already told him that all living beings are equal. Kharid apologized for what he was doing and asked the master for permission to touch his cat's front paw. Killian allowed, but noted that he could only touch the tip. Kharid decided to take a look. Kharid did not quite understand what it was. He saw the magnificent palace garden, the majestic castle, and similar landscapes, and after that, the very first memory of the master. Quite strange, but the cat no longer has any memories, just what he said earlier. Only one person exists in this cat's memories, and that person is Crown Prince Killian. This means that the cat has lost its past memories. The prince was even a little happy that he was the only one. He wondered if more information could be obtained about the divine blessing. He can't do it using magic, because divine power is blocking it. Therefore, I may have to look for information in another way. Killian ordered to look for anything related to the prophecy and the curse. Valen thinks that the original hand without the prophecy was destroyed. Killian is confident that by working together, they will be able to get to the bottom of the truth. The reason he came here is not just because he wants to find information about the curse. This is what Kharid believed. Killian confirmed this. As the Crown Prince, he came here with an official proposal. This is a contract, they should familiarize themselves with it. The feet noticed the sun there, which is a symbol of the empire. The magicians did not understand at all why he chose them. The Doissons were the only family of magicians who did not submit to the royal family for centuries. He needs such people, and that is why Killian makes an offer that will be beneficial for them. Killian will rebuild their academy. The emperor simply closed the academy to stop potential resistance coming from the mage faction. However, this approach seems to be the best solution for concluding an alliance with the emperor. Valon told His Highness that this could end up putting him in danger. Kolyan promised to take care of this. He just asks him to concentrate on training magicians. As they all know, the empire is barely staying afloat, and now there are still such secrets as this cat. It will be very difficult to fix everything, but Killian has already made his decision. If they trust him, he promises that this will bring success and glory to the mages. For a magician, concluding a contract is the same as giving up his life. A magician can use powerful magic when he serves his master under a contract. And the more powerful the magic, the more he will rub in his self-esteem. The feeling that their village completely belongs to the owner. Killian, you don't want to say that there is some grand plan behind this, like creating a great empire. He just wants to get to the bottom of the truth. Why did what they saw not correspond to the prophecy? And he also wonders what secrets are hidden behind the curse. Valen noted that it will not be easy. However, he will completely devote his life to carrying out his orders. From now on, Killian is their master. More than 500 years later, they welcome a new host to the genus. Killian informed Kharid that he was giving him his first order. The young man asked what needed to be done. Killian provided them with women's clothing and told them that they should cast spells on them so that they would adjust to the wearer's size. Kharid asked why the gentleman needed this, and the prince ordered to just do it. After a few minutes of work, it was all over. This clothing will be perfectly adjusted to the size of the person who will wear it. Killian praised Kharid. That's all for today because the prince has to go. Suddenly, the prince called the cat to him. The main character became interested in what happened. The gentleman asked her to put on a dress. The cat was surprised that he gave her human clothes so that she could sleep in them. The cat tried to refuse because this dress looks very uncomfortable. It's so nice to crawl into a cool sheet without clothes and fall asleep. And the prince asks her to give it up. She is already depressed by the fact that she is stuck in this strange world in the body of a cat. And the main character will never give up one of the few privileges of being a cat. She wanted to protect the freedom of animals and defend the rights to a comfortable sleep. Maple was surprised that she didn't like these clothes so much. He asked if she wanted to say that she would never wear it, after which he said that he hoped that she would not regret it. At night, she turned into a cat again, and the master covered her with a blanket and noticed that he told her that she needed to wear something. Springtime May, since Killian turned 19, he has taken a dangerous amount of the potion. Based on the original plot at this moment, Killian would be powerless and experience unbearable pain, and a dark aura would emanate from him. But he looks pretty healthy. He doesn't look like someone who is in pain. The prince told the cat to finish eating. Turning back, the girl saw a white eagle. He was so handsome. Killian immediately noticed that he had arrived. The cat was surprised that her master knew this eagle. This seems to be normal in a fantasy novel. Today is also a failure. At least Killian received a letter saying that she would not be able to see him. It's better than being left in the dark. The man believed that the eagle was tired, so he offered him water. The main character was wondering if eagles are always so obedient. He looked at the cat strangely and then flew away. His name is Mikio. His mother tamed this eagle. And the gentleman's answer must be delivered by the end of the day. The cat was shocked that eagles were delivering letters. Killian needs to see His Majesty. He hoped the cat would be okay in the room. In the letter, the mother apologized to her son for having to cancel the meeting and leave so suddenly. She must travel to the Tennessee region to recover her health. It's nothing serious, so he doesn't have to worry. Killian is the son of the Huppert Empire. Therefore, he should not worry about his mother and focus on his responsibilities as a ruler. The letter was from Elizabeth, who prays for the son. He didn't move when they hit him, but after the shot he finally fell Emperor Huppert Adolf Reinhard. Adolf noticed that it was quite an impressive offering from the continent of Libare. It's quite fun to play with prey this way. Killian reported that he had lost his appetite, so enough was enough and they should take him back. The man greeted His Majesty the Emperor and Mr. Prince. It was Chief of Staff Leno Macmillan. The man apologized for interrupting their vacation, but he has a message for His Majesty. The Emperor informed Killian that it had been reported that magicians were moving everywhere, so he asks him to explain what it is. The prince realized that they had indeed noticed a change in the movement of the magicians. Leno Macmillan is an unprincipled and vile man who works for Countess Catherine despite his position as chief of staff. The guy didn't even know if he should surprise them a little. So suddenly he said that it was he who called them. Leno didn't expect Mr. Prince to do this. The emperor did not understand at all and shouted, asking why he called them magicians. Killian said he thought it was necessary to keep them close and watch them. With the exception of the nobility, most citizens turn to magicians for various illnesses or other minor problems. Killian wants to use the magicians who are trusted by many citizens to gain their loyalty and influence that they have. He does all this for the sake of the emperor. Adolf laughed and remarked that this was excellent because he has his father's back, and that's really commendable. Leno completely agreed His Highness's love for his master is very amazing, after which the Countess joined them and noticed that they had a lot of guests. The boss could be free. She's here to have a good time, but it's quite noisy. The boss said that he was already leaving them. Killian considered this boss to be some kind of loser. The emperor thought that his wife was busy preparing for the masquerade ball. Therefore, I don't quite understand why she is here. Catherine heard that a rare black lion was shown here, so she came here but did not observe this beast. Killian reported that he sent him to the valley, and she can look at him another time when she is free. By the way, the emperor decided to ask how his wife's preparations were going. The countess said that she was trying her best, and if Her Majesty the Empress were here, she would take care of everything. The emperor did not quite understand why she was talking about someone who cared more about his health than about state affairs. Catherine alone is enough. The woman noticed that His Majesty is so heartless. You asked what His Majesty thinks about this. No doubt Killian has high hopes for her work too. All those annoying people in the palace, Killian wonders if he should kill them right now. But it's still early. It would be too generous to kill them all so quickly. He will choke them gradually. The cat noticed that someone was trying to enter the room with very strong sighs. She began to believe that something had happened at the tea party. She didn't want to believe that the Countess had poisoned his food again. Side effects of the potion include severe pain and nausea. The food during the tea party must have been poisoned. In the original story, Killian began to show signs of addiction to a magic potion when he turned 19. And now is just that time. This is the most difficult moment for Killian. Sick enough to kill his own father and overthrow him. It's so unfair because the gentleman is still too young. The cat doesn't understand at all how Killian could endure such pain. And no one noticed this. It's not that he hides it well, but because there is no one in the palace who would protect him. All this time, Killian protects the cat when she is in danger. He's the only one who does this. For him, the main character will do everything in her power. She brought him a rag, or rather her dress. First, she needs to bring down her temperature. She's so tired, but this should help his temperature drop. The cat also wants to sleep under a warm blanket, but she scattered the pillows that Killian folded for her while running around the room. She has no way to climb onto the bed. There is no other choice, so she decided to at least wear cat pajamas. She believed that if the gentleman had seen her in her pajamas, he would definitely have laughed. She was very interested in whether she could be considered to have repaid the debt for saving her life. In the morning, Killian woke up and did not understand what this wet thing was on his forehead. When he took it off, he realized it was pajamas, and he began to believe that the cat did it all. When he looked to the side, you saw the girl again. This time she was dressed. The man believed that she fell asleep after taking care of him. It seems that the cat is the only one who cares about him in this hellish place. The man jokingly believed that she was trying to get sick by sleeping on the floor so that he would take care of her. He moved the girl onto the bed and wondered whether he should reward the cat for her efforts. Renee means small queen. At least here she rules Killian like a queen, therefore this name suits her perfectly. The cat was surprised that she was in bed and wondered how long she had been passed out. Killian asked Renee how she slept. The gentleman said that this is now her name. The main character was very happy because if you think about it, before that she didn't have a name in this world. The name Killian gave her is Renee. The cat tried to ask if her master was okay. He said that everything was fine thanks to one cat that took care of him. In gratitude, he gave her this name. Renee was glad to hear that her master was feeling better. As a sign of his gratitude, Killian wants to tell her something. The cat noticed that she no longer had a fever. Killian reported that she turns into a human when she falls asleep, and at this moment she is naked. The cat was simply horrified when she heard that she was becoming a woman even without clothes. Killian asked Renee if she wanted to see him again. It was exactly like that, and all because he saw her naked. Killian was pleased to describe what Renee looked like in human form. The man wanted to explain to her why he didn't tell about this earlier, but the cat was very angry and scratched him. It was a reflex. The man decided to give her a rest and hoped that she would feel better and he was going to work. The cat believed he was angry because she scratched him, despite the fact that he is victorious. The worst thing it can do is small scratches on the skin. Killian asked her to behave while he was gone. Renee was very interested in when Killian would return. What happened was only her mistake, so she needs to apologize. Suddenly she heard some noise outside the door. Someone said that they should find anything that could cause problems for him. Door opened. She did not understand at all who dared to enter the prince's room in his absence, and even without warning. They had very little time. Knowing the prince, he won't talk too long with Ambassador Laverne. This is Catherine. The cat knows that the emperor is merciful to her, but she's not sure if she's allowed to break into the prince's room and rummage through his things. Rumor has it that he visited the clothing store for the sake of a woman. There must be something here related to her, and they must find it. The cat remembered that this was the same store where he bought her pajamas. The woman asked the Countess for forgiveness and asked what this had to do with the fact that His Highness was dating a woman. She believed that their intervention could have unpleasant consequences. The Countess said that she did not give permission to think. All they have to do is follow her instructions, and for some reason she steals her precious time with her conversations and hides her with orders. The woman apologized, and the Countess asked if she believed that the woman he was dating was from a wealthy family. If she were an aristocrat, they would see each other in the palace, but they met in the store, which means her background does not allow them to see each other in public. The woman ordered to bring everything that looked suspicious. Renee understood that it would be bad if they discovered her. They didn't find anything special. The Countess was simply horrified. and she said that it was all because they didn't look well. Even a blind man can cope better than her maids. Suddenly they heard some rustling. It was the maid. She entered the room and apologized because she thought no one was there. The Countess asked who she was. She believed that the maid was an assistant, and he ordered to keep an eye on her, but it wasn't like that. This maid came to clean His Highness's room. The woman asked if she entered the room without permission, simply to clean. The woman assured the Countess that the prince had said that she could leave when the door was open, and she's not lying. Catherine asked if she should tear out the maid's tongue so that she would start telling the truth. The Countess ordered to leave here immediately, and noticed that she remembered the face of this prince's maid. The cat was very glad that they had finally left. She felt very sorry for this maid. She had to wait until she left. When the maid approached the bed, the cat was very scared. But suddenly she bent down and saw a cat. Renee didn't want to fully believe that she really saw her. She began to think about what would happen if she really noticed her. For some reason, the maid put her hand under the bed. The cat didn't want to believe that she knew about her. But this could not be because they did not see each other. Renee did not understand this strange behavior of the maid. She had already begun to believe that the woman had not come here to do cleaning. A little more, and she will get to the cat. Suddenly, a gentleman came into the room and asked the maid what she was doing there. The maid stood up and Killian asked her again what she was doing here. The woman was simply terrified. The maid said that when she entered the door was open. The gentleman ordered to stop and leave. The maid apologized to him and said that she was already leaving. Killian called Renee in horror. The cat crawled out from under the bed, and Killian worriedly asked if she was okay and if she had gotten hurt when she was hiding. He checked before he left that the door was locked, and he is sure that it was Countess Catherine who opened it. The cat did not understand at all how he found out about this. Killian said he ran into her as he was returning. She turned pale. Renee looked at his hand and saw that there were scratch marks there. She hurt him, but he still protects her from danger. So the cat started licking his wounds. Suddenly, she noticed a light coming from his ring. Killian was glad they contacted him. Renee didn't know what it was. The man asked the cat if she wanted to know more information about herself. The maid was walking around the garden and suddenly noticed a strange place. She wasn't sure if it had always been in the palace garden. She didn't quite understand why it was so quiet here. It's quite strange that everything around is so calm. It's like it's not the real world. Suddenly, the man behind her asked how she got here. He created this space with the help of magic, and only he and the owner can enter here. It looked like the maid was looking for something. The woman immediately began to make excuses and say that she was simply lost, which is why she ended up here. The man was not sure if this was true and believed that perhaps she was looking for a cat. The maid simply had no idea what he was talking about. Valen said it was better for her to tell the truth. "Because his master doesn't like to waste time beating around the bush," the maid greeted His Highness. She seemed familiar to the master, and then he remembered that she was the same maid who had previously rummaged through his room. The master asked what the maid's name was, and she introduced herself as Irina. He noticed that she did not seem to find what she was looking for in his room. The maid denied everything and said that she was really just cleaning. The man asked if she really didn't understand that she was wasting their time by telling obvious lies. He came closer and ordered her to answer the truth. He asked her who she worked for. The woman swore that she was not a spy and could not tell him anything. It seemed to the gentleman that she had misunderstood him. This is not a polite request, but an order. The maid kept shouting that she didn't work for anyone. Renee didn't know what to do at all, because Killian was starting to get very angry. The maid begged him to believe her. Renee understood that in this case, he would kill this maid. Killian saw no point in delaying this. He takes out his sword. Renee cannot allow him to become a ruthless tyrant. She jumped out of her pocket and grabbed her sword. Killian did not understand at all why his cat did this, and she did all this only because he was trying to kill a person. Valen was horrified that His Highness took the cat with him. The gentleman said that he, of course, would take her with him. The magician did not quite understand what if he was caught, but Killian believed that the interested party should also be present. The cat was shocked that the maid was not afraid of her. This must be her first time seeing a cat. The maid rushed towards the cat. Renee was very frightened because she saw that she was reaching out to her with her hands. Irene burst into tears next to her and said that she was alive. Her cat is alive. The maid told the cat that if someone passes by, she should hide, and if someone tries to grab her, she should run away. The maid hoped that her cat would behave well before she arrived, because Mom will be back soon. In the evening, the maid came to that very place and said that Mother had returned. She didn't understand where she was. Because usually the cat runs out when Irene calls her, the maid was in a panic because her cat was nowhere to be found. "She disappeared, her baby is missing." The maid told all this to Mr. Killian. The man understood her and believed that this happened when he found and took her for himself. The maid thought that she had lost her baby forever. She couldn't even imagine that she had lost her memory and was with him all this time. Irene believed that her baby must have been scared, especially due to the loss of memories. Renee could not breathe from these pressures. The maid was very grateful to the master for saving their lives, and she doesn't even know how she could repay in gratitude for this. Killian asked if it means that she is also a cat if she is Renee's mother. The woman confirmed this. The man said that he could repay him by answering a couple of his questions. The maid agreed to this. Killian asked if there were any other cats besides the two of them. Irene answered this question in the negative. After the announcement of the prophecy, cats began to be destroyed. At this moment, even the magicians came for them. By then, all the other cats had been killed. The gentleman asked if she was talking about that prophecy that says that cats will destroy the world. After an incident in which cats were reported to kill children and sacrifice them to a demon, they were considered devilish creatures. This was just a story that the cat Renee listened to, and yet she felt sadness and guilt. She's not doing well. As if she had seen this before, this sadness, this feeling of guilt. It is not at all clear who they belong to. Kiliana asked Renee if everything was fine and the vine was okay. The maid asked if he himself called her that. The man confirmed this, after which he asked what her real name was because he was sure that she had already given it to her. Irene said that she had not named her yet. The man didn't quite understand why this was so. The maid said that this was all due to the fact that a curse had been placed on them. The cat was surprised by this, after which the prince asked to tell more about him. Its meaning is that they turn into cats, and at night when the red moon rises, they become pregnant. This is the punishment they must bear. Killian wondered what the punishment was for, but Irene did not know the details of the story. Suddenly, Valen called them and noticed that the red moon appears once every 70 years. The last time was 18 years ago in the year 511 of the Imperial calendar. 10 months later, Irene gave birth to a child. She is now 89 years old. Renee was in complete shock because she looked so young for her age. Renee wondered if this meant that she too would not grow old and would become pregnant with a child on the red moon. This baby will be fully grown in a year, which also means she has that much longer to live on this earth. They are born human children and grow up just like them. But when they reach 20 years old, their appearance stops changing. And so they live the rest of their entire lives. That is 90 years. Killian understood how their life cycle worked. But sir, it's not entirely clear how this has anything to do with the fact that she hasn't given a name to her cat yet. Something unexpected happened. Killian didn't quite understand what she was talking about. They look like humans while they are awake and turn into cats when they fall asleep. Renee had already begun to understand what this meant. Irene said that only this child had a different curse, not like the others. The main character wondered why Renee had a different curse. Therefore, the woman wanted to give her a name after she solved this problem, but she did not find any information and could not name it. Somehow, the prince believed that nothing like this had ever happened before. But there is something that came to mind. But none of this helped. However, there is a place where the information they need is located. Killian asked where it was. The cat noticed that Irina was worried. Well, this is understandable, because she revealed her and her daughter's secret to the crown prince. Renee tried to somehow support her so-called mother. The maid noticed this and took her paw into her hands. She got ready and asked the gentleman to take her to the Imperial archive. This surprised the gentleman. The woman understood that entry into it was prohibited, but this was the most suitable place where they could find something. Killian asked Valen if he could teleport them there right now. The man said that he could do it, but if they were caught, everything would be bad. The prince said that he would take care of it. The maid was very grateful to His Highness. Killian said he was doing this to find out the truth. Therefore, she has nothing to thank him for. But nevertheless, he decided to ask what their plan was. Irina did not quite understand what he meant. The gentleman spoke about Renee because she found her daughter. Now the main character realized that since she had found her real family, she would have to say goodbye to Killian. The maid understood what he meant and said that she had a request. Then she asked if the gentleman could keep the cat until they got to the Imperial archives. But the prince did not quite understand why Irina noticed that she was just a servant, and it would be difficult for her to hide her little Renee. Therefore, the cat will be safer next to Killian as it has been all this time. The man said that he would take care of her that evening, and at dawn they will go to the Imperial archives. Valen asked if they were leaving tomorrow. The prince asked if there would be any difficulties with this. The maid doesn't even know how she could thank the master, so she thanks him again. Killian already said that there is no need to thank him. With a sigh, he asked the maid why she was crying. The cat was shocked that he was ready to part with her. That's all the last time the main character sees the room and Killian. Killian came out and asked if she was sleeping while waiting for him. I just tried to tell him to cover up. And the man didn't understand at all what was wrong. He came closer to the cat and asked if she wanted to sleep with him. Of course he will let her wear her pajamas. The cat lay next to him and looked at him, after which the man suddenly asked if she was sleeping. She pretended to be asleep. Killian noted that she must understand that she turns into a person when she falls asleep, so there is no point in pretending. The prince added that since he shares a bed with her, he no longer suffers from nightmares. The man knew that it was too late to talk about it, but he was very glad that he had her. The cat tried to tell him that she felt the same way, and she was grateful to him for being there. Renee really doesn't want to say goodbye to him. Valen has arrived. The prince informed him that he was late. The man apologized very much. Apparently, he had to bypass the guards, after which he asked whether the gentleman had taken the cat with him. Renee stuck out her paw and showed that she was there. Valen was a little shocked that the gentleman hid it. Although there was no one else here, Killian said that it was all because she was shy. The cat really hoped that he wouldn't tell them about last night. Killian agreed with her and decided not to say anything, after which the maid came and apologized for being late. Finally, everyone is here and they can leave. Of course it won't be easy. They have already arrived. The prince did not understand at all how security could be so weak in the place where the Imperial family lived. The fact is that there are several vulnerabilities in the magical protection of the palace. Killian decided to correct this point when he became emperor. He thinks it's good that they somehow got here. Therefore, he suggested starting a search. They had to find any information they could about cats. Even though the security is pretty lax, they did a good job of keeping the documents hidden. Killian noted that this was an insult to the Imperial family. Valen did not feel a single magical book. They need to put in more effort. The cat noticed that there were so many books there. She figured it would take a long time if they went through every book here. The maid asked the little girl if she had found anything that could help them at the moment. Suddenly, Irene found a prayer book about the Great Huppert Empire. Valen asked to wait, because this book gives off a strange energy that he now feels. Killian noted that the content didn't seem all that special. Those who steal priceless souls must pay with their lives. After spending 8 days in darkness and 9 nights, the woman told the gentleman that this book was the one she was looking for. This is the same prophecy she heard. Her mother told her that she is the 8th child, and if this is the very prediction on which she thinks, then the 9th child is her little Renee. The cat wanted to think about all this, so she needed to look at the text of the prediction again. Perhaps there is some more information there. Suddenly, a strange light began to emanate from the book. The cat heard a voice asking if she could hear him. Renee did not understand at all where she was, because she felt as if she had been drawn into this book. This is the space inside the book. Child of the 9th night. He put his strength into this book so that he could see its history in the future. When the cat heard the words, "in the future," she assumed it was a message from the past. They were waiting for her, the one who was destined to save the empire. Renee no longer understood at all who she was. It was said that cats would destroy the empire, besides that she has a curse like other cats. This is evidence that Renee is a child of the night. This voice asks her to find the original prophecy that he damaged. The cat decided to ask what he was like and where she could look for this prophecy. Renee protects divine blessing. She can fix everything. The voice hopes that she will find the original manuscript and get rid of the shackles of curse and suffering. And if she meets his descendant, she will help him see the future. With this, he bids her farewell and wishes her good luck. Killian asked Renee how she was. The cat was trying to tell him something. The man was glad she was okay. He was worried because she had been unconscious for a long time. The man informed His Highness that they had lost consciousness at the same time. Since Renee has come to her senses, Killian will now explain everything. He put his power into the book. Only high priests can do this. If they add up all the points he talked about, the name sounds familiar. Killian was very interested in who it could be. The original scroll of prophecy was damaged a week after its creation. This priest who died protecting the scroll of Fabian Nolus, it must be him. Fabian Nolus is the one who left his last message. The prince decided that they would find a descendant of this priest. It doesn't matter where he is now. It doesn't matter who he is. They will find him no matter what. 5 days have passed since then. Thanks to Valen, they found him quickly enough. They're almost there. Killian asked Renee if everything was okay. The cat was very angry with him and tried to ask him, does he really need her to answer this question? The gentleman told her to calm down. Since Renee is a cat, it is dangerous for her outside, so it's better for her to dress up to look like a rabbit, at least at first glance. Killian decided to ask if she thought the same. Renee thought this was unfair, because it feels like she's being bullied. Renee is confused. Killian thought the cat was so funny and looked out the window smiling, looking at the views. The man asked if the magician said you are 16 years old. He also asked if he was sure that the descendant was here because it smelled of alcohol from here. Valen told His Highness that it was so if he comes in. They heard a loud knock inside. They shouted at the guy to disappear and called him a slacker. The guy said he promised him 10 kellings and he did what he said. Therefore, the master must pay. They continued to shout at each other. Killian asked if this guy was their target. The magician confirmed this. The only descendant is Sanua Nelas. This Sanua shouted at his employer and laughed at him. After all, he promised that they would pay him. The gentleman shouted at him and shut his mouth. He had already swung at the young man. Suddenly, the crown prince appeared and told Sanua that she would give him 100 kellings, after which he turned to the master and said that if 10 kellings give him the right to be someone that for 100 kellings he can break his neck. The prince said that if he hit anyone else, then he would make him look for his own head rolling on the ground. Sanua was very hungry and ate very quickly. Killian said not to rush. The guy was shocked when the gentleman called him, and he asked me to call him Jack. He came up with this name for himself. The magicians told His Highness that he taught himself his manners. Killian himself knew about this. Now the main character knew what the descendant of Fabian Nolus looked like. He noticed that Killian helped him, even fed him. He never makes deals without me giving anything in return. That's why Jack will help him if he tells him what he wants. Killian turned to Kharid. The man asked not only if he knew anything about the child whose day and night were reversed. When Jack heard about this, he asked again in bewilderment. Jack asked if he meant the guy who wanders around at night instead of sleeping. He also had no family heirlooms. And there are no special stories that the parents told about either. Kharid was simply horrified. He told him with his patronymic that this guy is not knowledgeable about anything. It seems that this is true. Killian decided to stop it and said it was time to go. Ordered Kharid to erase this guy's memories. And Valen must look for other descendants. The principal will make sure he is paid enough to live comfortably so he doesn't have to worry. In the end, his family sacrificed themselves for the sake of the empire. Even producing a great priest, Jack tried to stop him. Because he already said, who only accepts fair deals. He asked in horror who gave him the right to erase his memories. The cat was thinking about whether it was possible to say with certainty that if he did not inherit anything, then there were no clues. Jack angrily asked what he had to do with this man's family. This surname has long since sunk into oblivion. Fabian Nolus predicted the existence of Sanua, something that only the heirs of Nolus possess. It seems that it could be the surname itself. Renee jumped out of his pocket and bit this guy Jack. At first thought it was a rabbit, but then realized it was a cat. She started jumping on him. She realized that the whole secret was in this guy's blood, so she bit him on the cheek. After which the cat turned into a girl. Jack Ball is completely shocked that just now it was a cat, and now it is a person. Jack had absolutely no idea what had happened. Killian immediately approached Renee and told her not to get too close to him. The guy couldn't believe his eyes. After all, the cat suddenly turned into a human. He's too close. Jack didn't fully understand whether there was any meaning to this, and I didn't understand at all why everyone was so calm. Kharid approached him from behind and dealt with him. Valen approached Renee and asked her how she guessed. Renee noted that the only thing that cannot be broken or stolen, regardless of time, is the people themselves. Priest Nellis conveyed the answer with the help of his distant descendant. Jack wondered if she became human thanks to him. After thinking a little, the guy said that in this case she should reward him generously, but he was quickly silenced. Renee asked Killian why Sanua and Karid were in the room. The prince locked them up because they were too loud. Be that as it may, the prince is very interested in why she bit him on the cheek. The girl said that this was just the first thing she saw at that moment. The gentleman did not quite understand why she was communicating with him formally after everything that had happened. Renee said that when she is human, she must behave as her class requires because he is the crown prince. Killian asked if she was talking about the rules of class distinction. Suddenly they heard a very strange roar behind the wall. Someone is screaming. It was so loud. Something is definitely wrong. Renee began to get up, but because she was not used to her new body, she fell. But she was immediately grabbed by the crown prince. Renee asked to be released, but the prince asked her not to move. After all, she probably forgot that she was sitting here without shoes. Karid ran out of the room in tears and asked to save him. Jack didn't understand at all why he was making so much noise because of the mouse. Karid said that he would rather lie in a pigsty than be in the same place with this pathetic man. Jack said that this guy was afraid of mice and at the same time called him pathetic. Karid shouted at him to forget the pigsty because instead he would rot in a mouse hole. The mice began to move simultaneously, and the main character believed that it was Sanua who forced them. Killian noticed that there was such a mess here as if a flock of mice had rushed by. They spent a lot of time driving out these rodents. Jack began to say that the guy started it first. If the main character's guess is correct, then Sanua has the ability to control animals. Killian offered to take this guy with him, after which he asked what Renee thought about this. The girl told Sanua that he had the ability, and the guy repeated again that his name was Jack. Speaking of abilities, Renee must have seen how this guy controlled the mice. The guy said again that his name was Jack, so they should all stop calling him by that stupid name. Renee asked Sanua if he knew his ancestry. From generation to generation, his family created outstanding priests. They even sacrificed their lives to save the empire. Sanua comes from the Nellis family. The guy was completely shocked and started talking about how he didn't do anything because of this. Perhaps he has even greater power. Therefore, Renee asked him if he was interested in learning about his abilities. Sanua thought about it. The girl told him that he was the only one who could help her. This guy was even more surprised. Renee happily said that in addition to this, he could also help other people. Suddenly, Sanua asked me if she would take back her words if it turned out that he was completely useless. Renee agreed with this, and once again thanked Sanua very much. In fact, having gone through the difficulties of the new name that he gave himself. But the guy didn't have time to finish because a strange earthquake began. Everything swam before my eyes. Renee wasn't entirely sure this guy's capital had always been so huge. She became a cat again. She's a cat. Killian didn't quite understand why she became a cat again. Valen has an idea about this. But it seems that the reason may be the sudden depletion of Sanua's strength. Then they need to wait until he restores them to check. Valen agreed with him because there was little they could do at the moment. The gentleman thinks that the best solution would be to leave the estate to Sanua. He ordered to let him know when the guy's strength was restored. And now they are returning to the palace. The maid found out that His Highness had returned, and she was very interested in whether they had solved the problem with the Renee curse. Suddenly, a second maid approached her and told her that she was being called to the emergency rooms. Irina was a little shocked. Then she asked who was calling her. At first, the second maid hesitated, but then she finally said that this was Countess Catherine Gisela. The maid was horrified that the Countess wanted to see her. She immediately became worried. Killian is so annoyed by this. They're back, but he still needs to do something. The prince asked Renee how she was feeling. The cat was fine, but very tired. Killian said that he would return soon, and for now she could rest, after which Irina came. The man allowed her to enter. The maid apologized for her sudden appearance, but she has something to tell her. Killian was very angry that this woman got to Irina. She tried to force her to spy on the prince. This is quite unfortunate. Now he can't trust anyone in the palace. It's very tiring to be here. But he thinks that there is still one person whom he can trust. The cat ran up to him and was glad to see him. The prince took the cat in his arms and asked if she wanted to take a walk with him. She really enjoyed walking with him. The spruce covered with bluish-silver light and the lake growing in the moonlight are so beautiful. This landscape, cold but soft, reminds her of Killian. By the way, he said that he had something for her. This letter is from Irina. Her mother left. She didn't have a chance to say goodbye in person, so she asked him to deliver the letter. She was worried about the cat all the way. The cat believed that her master was thinking about a letter from his own mother. He looked sad. The cat came up to him, and the guy noticed that she always knew how to console him. It seems the reason he stopped having nightmares is because of her ability. Renee was surprised, and then the man asked if she thought the same. The sudden acquisition of such abilities is unlikely. These are very kind words and all that. Suddenly, the prince began to undress. Renee immediately began to close her eyes, but Killian asked her to look at him, because he wants her to see it for herself. The scars on his body disappeared. The gentleman jokingly said that Renee would soon make a hole in him with her gaze. In any case, he noticed this feature. He did this from the moment he started sleeping next to her. Well, to be more precise, it was the moment they started spending time together. This is just his guess. Perhaps this is just a coincidence. But even if not, Renee is still special to him, the main character. Why are you so pleased to hear these words? Even if she is just an ordinary person, she is still special to him. The servant called the master. The series did not understand at all what they needed from him at such an hour. The fact was that Count Gisela gave him cookies. When he told the cat about this, she immediately started screaming at him. The prince noticed that there was still something suspicious in this. Countess Gisela poisoned these cookies too. Killian asked Renee if she remembered what he said earlier about his thoughts about her superpowers. The cat started screaming at him. Killian suggested that he try one to check, and he wants to see whether he will have nightmares or not. The cat didn't understand at all why he ate it. It seemed to Renee that he was not having nightmares. She had been very worried since he ate the cookies. She hoped that everything would be fine for the rest of the night. Renee dreamed that she had a dagger in her hands, and in front of her stands Killian wounded and covered in blood. Voices were heard everywhere that she was a murderer, killed a man, and she is a child born to destroy the empire. She killed them all. Renee woke up in horror and realized that it was a dream. When she looked at Killian, she realized that he didn't seem to have nightmares. Perhaps Renee is seeing Killian's bad dreams instead of him, so he had these terrible dreams all the time, pushing you to the edge and trapping you in fears. The black magic potion clearly knows a lot about how to torment its victim, the monster that will destroy the empire. These words played on her fear that she might actually turn out to be such a creature. Renee refuses to believe this, but he can't do anything about his thoughts. However, if she does have an ability that allows her to take away nightmares, she doesn't quite understand why she's only working now. After all, until this moment she had never seen nightmares like this. Killian sat in his office and asked Renee if she was sure she was okay. He asked to tell the truth because he believed that she had not slept well. The cat tried to justify herself, saying that this was not true. Killian asked what was the matter then, because she was simply falling asleep. Renee began to tell him that it was all because of the sun. The prince was surprised that the reason was the weather. The cat confirmed this. Although in truth she is strangely sleepy, she feels dizzy and has difficulty breathing. Killian asked her again if she was sure she was okay. Everything swam before her eyes and she felt wildly weak. Renee fell and the gentleman managed to grab her. She turned back into a human, and then she noticed that she had no clothes on. Killian immediately took off his jacket and turned away and gave it to her. He asked her to get dressed right away and noticed that he would turn away. Renee was grateful to him and said that he could already turn around. She thought he laughed when he saw her. And when she asked him about it, he pretended not to understand what she was talking about. This behavior greatly irritated the main character. The prince said that he needed to check if there were any new messages from Valon Renee, asked if he imagined that something like this could happen. He didn't think so, but in case something did happen, they installed a magic circle for communication directly in the top drawer of the desk. They just sent a letter. It says that Sanua just used his powers. It seems there is still a connection between his powers and her transformation. Suddenly, the girl disappeared. Killian began to panic and look for her. She was not under the blanket. Well, later, he noticed that she just fell asleep and became a cat. And then he wondered if she was sleeping. Then why was she still in the form of a cat? It is very strange. They assumed that the use of force was associated with a sudden onset of side effects. Killian also agreed that this was possible. However, this may be because the potion is affecting her instead of the master. He would appreciate it if they looked into this further, as it could be the influence of the magic potion. The magician should have warned His Highness that it was too dangerous to do this now. Lately, he has been visiting the palace too often. This may arouse suspicion among His Majesty. If it is so difficult for them to come to his palace, then he himself will come to them. Killian believed that perhaps it was because he dreamed too much. All living beings that are near him leave him. Suddenly he was confronted by his father, and the Countess Gisela asked where he was going at such a late hour. The prince greeted his parents. The emperor asked if he was leaving already, and the countess only said that it was already quite late. Killian reported that he was heading to the town of Cloud. Killian asked if he could ask what was in those bags. The emperor replied that it was the cub of a fox that he was hunting. Catherine was so scared when he jumped out into the empress's garden. The countess said that she screamed because she thought it was a cat. The emperor noticed that she was such a coward. Either way, such a relief that it wasn't a cat. But then the emperor immediately shouted that it didn't matter, because that would be the perfect opportunity to tear her to pieces with my bare hands. Princip noticed that the bag looked quite large for a fox cub. The man said that the mother came running when he was trying to kill the fox cub. Then all the other cubs came out after their mother. This stupid creature killed all her children. I'm trying to resist. Disgusting human beings. They locked his mother in the far corner of the palace, and now they are mocking Killian like this. He asked himself whether this hunt was enjoyable. It's stupid to call it hunting. This was a little entertainment for the evening. In that case, Killian will have to prepare some fun for next time, the man asked again, and the son noticed that it would be for His Highness. He will organize a hunt unlike any he has been on before, if he lets him. The emperor agreed and noted that he would wait impatiently. The countess is also really looking forward to this. In this case, Killian wants to leave with the permission of His Highness. The emperor already wanted to go out to the palace because he was very tired, and Killian headed towards the exit. He will no longer lose anything that belongs only to him. Anyone who dares to challenge Killian will be killed. The countess thought that the prince was heading to the town of Cloud. Even at such a late time, he has pretty bad taste. A woman of low social status, surprisingly beautiful, a maid who disappeared into thin air. If it was the prince who hid her so that no one could find her, then everything falls into place. The countess turned to His Highness and said that there was something she wanted to receive. The poor thing doesn't even know. The emperor asked what it was. She only has to say it, and it will immediately become hers. In this case, the countess wants the gentleman to give her the foxskin. If you hide something that you value so much, Catherine will want to find it and take it for herself. Khalid will soon bring Sanua Nelas. Therefore, the gentleman must wait a little. The magician asked the gentleman if he would take Renee back if she woke up. Killian didn't quite understand why he was asking. They were lucky that they brought her here in the guise of a cat. But what happens next is highly unpredictable. If she had been human while she was sleeping, it would have been much more difficult to bring her here. The master must think whether this is the right decision. To leave her in the palace? The current situation is dangerous for him and Madame Renee. Killian refused and said that Renee would stay with him. Khalid brought Sanua and said that they were ready. Sanua didn't understand at all how he knew how to wake up the cat. He asked if they tried to stir her up. The guy asked His Highness if he slept all night until the morning, but Killian did not want to answer anything and simply ordered to wake up Renee. Sanua would like to be given some kind of clue. All he can do is share his power with her. Valen noticed that it was still impossible to wake her. The gentleman asked Khalid if he could try to read Renee's memories, because he needs to check something. The magician was a little surprised but was ready to begin, and he apologized again for this. When he looked at her memories, he was simply horrified. He did not understand at all what the hell this was. Because I saw a girl with a dagger in her hands and a wounded Killian. Valon in horror asked Khalid what he saw. The guy said everyone should be dead. This woman killed everyone. Killian added that she killed him. In the end, Khalid did not understand at all how he knew about this. The gentleman decided to admit that this was the same dream that he saw every night until he met Renee. Renee sees his dreams for him. Renee woke up in horror. Someone asked if she had a nightmare. The girl didn't quite understand how he found out about it, but it was all because she was still in it. The girl began to run away, and this voice said that it was all her fault and she killed everyone. Renee is the cause of the death of all these people. It's all because of her. This voice ordered her to pick up the dagger and thrust it into her heart. Then all the pain will go away. Renee must end this completely with her own hands. The girl agreed because in this case it would be easier for her. Killian told Renee that it was time to wake up. When she opened her eyes a little, Yuman asked if she would see him. The girl began to scream loudly and gasp. Killian didn't understand what was happening at all. The main character couldn't breathe at all. The prince asked in horror what was the matter. He believed that she was having difficulty breathing. He asked her to look at him, after which, without thinking twice, he began performing artificial respiration. Killian's breath flowed into the main character, and she was able to open her eyes and feel alive again.